open. I'd like to, my name is Virginia Miltrup. I'm the CEO of the City of Karratha. I'd like to acknowledge the traditions of the Ngarama people whose land we are gathered here today, and I'd like to pay my respects to their enduring connection to country, their rich cultural history that we're all very treasured to be a part of, and pay my respects to all those elders past and present. This meeting will be live streamed and a recording of the meeting will be made. As you can tell, I don't have a mayor with me today, so the mayor is representing the city at a meeting in Perth, and our deputy mayor is dealing with a family issue at a different location as well. So what I need is I've requested for the councillors to identify someone to be the presiding member for the meeting, and I'm looking for nominations for that presiding member role, please. Is there anyone who would like to do it?
Shall we go? So you're going to move Jill?
I'd like to move Gillian along.
You'd like to move Jill? Is there any other nominees?
I'm happy to second that.
Are you happy? Can I see a show of hands about Jill taking on the presiding member? Okay, that's passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Jill, come on down.
Come on down.
The price is right.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Can I leave now? That's it. We have a jam-packed agenda.
Yes, we do.
So I will, I'll support you through this, seeing as you've been thrown in the deep end. We do have 3 deputations today. One from the men's shed, one related to the lease of the Old Shire offices, and one related to major event sponsorship. So, Councillor, if you want to pick up about this meeting, we can continue on.
So good evening, everybody. So the purpose of this public agenda briefing session is for councillors to ask questions and obtain additional information relating to items for consideration at the next ordinary council meeting. No decisions are made at public agenda briefing sessions. The meeting procedures. This meeting is conducted as a public meeting of council, and the City of Karratha standing orders will apply. Councillor questions will be asked by the councillors are to be addressed to the CEO or a person nominated by the CEO. And this meeting will be live streamed, and a record of the meeting will be available. And meeting records are copyright material and cannot be used without permission from the CEO. Record of attendance. So we have Mayor Scott is in.
Apology from Mayor Scott. We do have Councillor Swaffer who's joining us remotely.
And Councillor Gillum.
Councillor Gillum is in the has a leave of absence.
And Councillor Byrne.
And Councillor, I haven't heard from Councillor Byrne. And I did have leave of absence for Councillor Roots, but that's for next week. Yes, sorry.
Big meeting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody is in attendance.
That's it.
So public question time. So we don't have any public questions, but we do have deputations, is that right?
Yeah, I'll just perhaps if we could just ask the public if there's anyone who wants to ask a question of council, and then we'll move on to the deputations. Anybody have questions for us tonight?
So we'll move on.
Oh, yes, you've got a question? So we would ask if you can kind of stand in the middle of the room there,
Yep, sorry.
and that will mean that we'll be able to pick you up with the cameras and things.
Yes. Mick Whittaker, Point Sampson Community Association President. Just in the minutes and the agenda, there's a question there on the Point Sampson Community Association and funding towards a park, or be a mix track, but also a sort of bring it up. A thumb track, was it? No, sorry, it's a pump track. Yeah, so it's a pump track. And just wanted to see if that was going to be looked at and brought up into the next meeting, because it's on the back of exploring the possibility and integrity of the bike park with existing recreation facilities that could be upgraded at the same time as the skate park and scooter in Bulgara, identifying complementary projects such as the Point Sampson pump track and whether that could be included in the scope.
Thank you. I'll pass that question to the director if I could.
Yep. So through the chair, The pump track was considered as part of the procurement process and concept design for Wickham, but it was determined that given the limited amount of land in Point Sanson, it was too difficult to progress with that right now. So an enhancement plan is being developed for the town, and there is a priority action that's been identified that will look at a youth recreation precinct. So that may include a pump track, it may include half courts, it may include other activities for young people, but we won't be able to determine the location and what that will include until we've undertaken the engagement process with the community. But it is considered a priority for Point Sanson once the enhancement plan is completed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll move on to deputations then.
Petition for 10.1, which is the Pilbara Community Men's Shed.
So we can start with the Pilbara Community Men's Shed proposal 10.1. Want to come and make your deputation, please?
Did you want to?
Yeah, Gary.
I'll speak. Gary, thanks everyone for tonight. Gary Fitzgerald, President of the Men's Shed there. Some year ago, I fronted the council here about the Men's Shed getting off the ground. And yes, it has been a long road, but through the help of the City of Karratha with their funding for consultants and different other issues we had, it is now become aware that we may get a block of land. So we have, through the nice lady, Kate, done a great job for you people and us with allocating a block to be voted on by the councillors, of course. So that's been great reward from the city. I took it to the meeting last Tuesday night, and we've got a great roll up here of members. And if they would like to ask a question or bring something forward, can they do that tonight?
So to you, presiding member.
Well, I think so. Even though we've gone past the question time,
right.
I think it's.
All right, I'm not quite sure if they have got a question, but they just want to come along and see how the proceedings going tonight. Just a small overview on the Men's Shed. I started there with 3 members. We've got 40 now. I started with $1,500 in the bank, and I got $190,000 in the bank current. Now the $190,000 is made up of $90,000 of our hard work as fundraising, so we're not just sitting on our backsides doing nothing. And the other $100,000 was through Kevin, Michelle. Now I have been not promised, but said once we get the block of land, then there's quite a few grants for big money to happen for the Men's Shed. So, and also the construction of the Men's Shed is going to be run by Globe Construction. He's still honouring all of that contract work for free. And we had about a week ago where Hanson Concrete is going to provide all the concrete for it as well. So we're going great guns. And the greatest thing happened was about 3 or 4 weeks ago when Kate emailed me and showed me where we might have a block of land. And I can tell you now, all the members here tonight are so excited about it. They've been down there. You think it was a little baby, you know. So that's all I'd like to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Yes. Thank you, Gary. And I certainly firsthand have seen all the work that you and your committee have done. And I think it's wonderful. And thank you for presenting. Now, if anybody has questions for us as council, now is the time. We'll move on with the deputations now. So 10.2.
10.4 is the next deputation. It relates to the lease of the old Shire offices. That's 10.4.
So 10.4.
Yeah.
So the CIP master plan development.
No, 10.4. This one. This one here, lease of the old Shire offices.
And someone's going to present.
Great.
And tell us who you are.
Oh, sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Aoife Healy. I'm here with Jubilee Aboriginal Corporation and Yandy for Change. We are partnering with the Yandy for Change elders to deliver some programs for the Roburn community, and our request this evening is that for the Rose Street office we be afforded the same lease agreement that the Department of Communities had while they worked with the Yandy for Change elders for the last 5 years, which was a peppercorn lease. Most of the funding that we have is really targeted for children and families, and whilst we acknowledge that the city generously has a not-for-profit or an NGO rate, the rate that would be far outside the operational budget that we have. So really hoping that the council members can support the elders and provide that peppercorn lease for the site. And I'm going to hand over to Josie just to, I guess, talk about the importance of what Yandy for Change is doing and why it's really important that we can stay in that location.
Yeah, the reason why that we want to continue there, because I guess I've been involved for the last 10 years with the Yandy for Change. It's like, getting all the funding, government agencies, and well, to be able to make a better community and things that we're striving to get things done in Roburn. And even though sometimes we feel out of sight, out of mind. But anyways, it's just to get that together so that working with Connected Beginnings as well for our next generations, and and with the elders and making them understand and reassuring them also for all the funding bodies that come into our community. So all we want is to be able to continue there, and because it has the facilities not down the road there for like the shops on that main drag, and we've been there, for yonks, I guess. But yeah, that's why we want to continue to stay there and continue with the service with our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
And the last deputation tonight is major event sponsorship attraction program. And there's someone who's going to present for this.
So good evening, councillors. My name is Tui Magna, and this is Brian Tucker, and together we are the co-founders of Karratha Rodeo Incorporated and the drivers of the MeSAT application here before you. We just wanted to start with a little bit about who we are. I'm your local cowgirl. I'm a National Rodeo Board member. I'm a local business owner, a proud mother of 4, and the Roburn Rodeo event lead. My professional work is in the Indigenous sector, focusing on community economic development, supporting remote Indigenous communities to create jobs and opportunities on their land that support their goals and strengthening self-determination. So I'll hand over to BT.
Good evening, Council. First time I'm confronting you there, but I'm an Ashburton child, sort of my region there. But I come from place called Karratha, Whitnam. That's where I was born, and doing a bit of work around here, working for the shop for many years. But one of the things that I've had a vision of trying to put a event that could possibly bring people together. And one of the things, I sponsored rodeos in Boyabrook for about 11 years. So that capability came from there to where I am here now. And if we continue our good work, one thing I want to bring here to you is the rodeo of Karratha. Karratha is in the Dragonfly from Karratha. I'm a Karratha man. So Karratha, I'm a traditional owner. And if you hear about all the mining happening up in Karratha, which is the iron ore come down here, which is coming from my traditional homeland. I spent consulting with the mining company for many years. So started off in '83, and here I am. I'm more of an advisor for both language, Nyambali and Manjima, and that's all I ever been doing. And now I've got my own business, which is I do mining and civil, which I want to rehab and not really establish all my areas because it's about cleaning up and the waste and recycling. I'm into technology. I've got my company over in Korea now to sponsor high boost diesel right at this moment. So I'll be coming back because Canning Vale is actually using the high boost now, or the new diesel resources now is being used with trucks, and that the shire, there's 3-4 shires using it. So hopefully I want to get out and do the presentation also here in the Pilbara, because it's also going to give you an opportunity to try this new technology in diesel. But one thing most foremost is the rodeo that I really want to give back to the city of Karratha and really create some sustainability and really give back to the community and the township, which is I'm about. And that's what I do. And with my own personal dollars, it goes back into the community. I do a lot of other sponsors too also. So that's all I'm here with, and with Julie's help. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. So councillors, we just want to sincerely thank you for considering our submission and for the opportunity to speak tonight. We want to acknowledge the Ngalama people as custodians of the land in which we run the rodeo, and all the Roebourne community who have warmly embraced our event, and even Josie was part of the event opening and the design. We want to extend our gratitude to the city for its support through the large community events program this year, and your support was instrumental in bringing our inaugural Roebourne Rodeo to life. Roebourne Rodeo was a true gathering place where our community came together. It gave us the confidence to deliver a sellout event and demonstrated the city's commitment to fostering new offerings and strengthening regional tourism. Why did Roebourne Rodeo matter so much for the city of Karratha, you may ask? If we learnt one thing from this year's event, it would be that Roebourne is ready. And as many locals expressed to us, this rodeo needs to stay. Events like this strengthen community pride, celebrate Aboriginal culture, and inspire our next generation by showcasing local talent alongside some of the nation's best competitors. At the same time, the rodeo drives regional tourism, positioning the city of Karratha as a destination for unique experiences that support local businesses and highlight our region's resilience. We have worked closely with local vendors, businesses, and traditional owners to ensure this initiative is inclusive and community-led. Collaboration was key, wasn't it? Partnerships with accommodation providers, suppliers, and youth groups demonstrate the broad support behind our event and the shared commitment to its success. We're committed to delivering a safe, high-impact event that reflects the values of the city and the broader Pilbara community. The Roebourne Rodeo is more than an event. It's a celebration of community spirit. It's a gathering where families, businesses, and visitors come together to share stories, strengthen connections, and honour traditions. And with the city's continued support, we're excited to build on the success of our inaugural rodeo and strengthen our partnership with Council to deliver greater events in the years ahead. Together, we can ensure that Roebourne Rodeo remains a cornerstone of cultural pride, economic opportunity, and community connection, a community gathering that unites us all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. I certainly will tell you all of this year. And well done. Fantastic opportunity.
Maybe seconds to bring forward these. Yeah, and then we'll perhaps just check with the calendar. Get that up, get the.
And just to a little reminder that there is an opportunity to ask questions next week at our actual OCM. So if you have something that you think of during the week, you can come back and ask us that question next week. Now, I am going to suggest that we bring forward the following items that might interest our people who've joined us here tonight. So I'll ask Council if we can move 10.1, which is the main shed, if we can bring that forward.
I'm just read that.
Thank you. And Councillor Roots will second that. So we'll start with
I was thinking perhaps we could just move all three. Unless anyone disagrees.
We're about to move 10.4, the lease of the Old Shire offices in 47 Rose Street. Councillor Simpson, you're happy to, and got someone to second that? Councillor Roots again. And 11.1 is the major event sponsorship. Can we move that? Thank you, Councillor Johansson. Have we got someone to second that? Councillor Simpson. I just want to go through the declarations first. We do. I'm just going to go back just first. We have a declaration of interest. Ask anyone, councillors, have they got any interest that they need to declare tonight? Yeah. Councillor Swaffer, you want to start?
Yes, thank you. I've got a declaration in 10.3 as I'm a member of the Karratha Basketball Association on the committee. So a financial declaration, and they're an applicant in the large grants.
Thank you.
So I'll step out for that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Swaffer. And Councillor Roots?
Just in the interest of transparency, I won't be here for our OCM, but I suppose for transparency, 9.5, which is the Roburn Community Resource Centre. Nation my interest in impartiality and volunteer for the people who work out of that resource centre. And 10.3, the large community grant, impartiality interest again, as I volunteer for one of the applicants, Karratha Kangaroos.
And I have interest, but they are joined together. The Wickham buy 10.2, because my partner works, so that's indirect financial. So I need to step out for that.
That's right.
On behalf of that, because
Yeah, so I was going to suggest that item we could deal with it in separable portions. So we deal with half of the recommendations that relate to Karratha, and then we separate out the Wickham ones because we've got some councillors who are related to, who have have an interest in Wickham, and typically it's Rio Tinto. So at that stage, I'll need another elected member to be the presiding member for me, please. So
I have the same financial interest, so I won't be able to check with you.
This is for the Wickham portion of the bike.
Sorry, no problems.
great, thank you.
Thank you. So
We'll get there.
we will. We've done the confirmation of minutes. We'll do that next week.
Yes.
And now since he's not presiding, he's not here, so we don't have to worry about the council. And now we're going to move to 10.1.
And you're having to jump around, aren't you?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. See if I can work out what page it's on for you. 47? It's on page 47 of the pack, yeah.
Presentation.
Oh, there is a presentation for this one too, so
So the 10.1 is the Pilbara Commission Men's Shed proposed location, and the officer's recommendation that council endorse a portion of Bulgara Sporting Precinct in portions of lot 489 on reserve 32320 and lot 680 on reserve 32335, table 2 as the preferred location of the community men's shed in Karratha, and supports progress of the association's site surveys, planning and land tenure and disposal consideration. And 2, approved by absolute majority a budget amendment for the purpose of undertaking site survey to identify and define the proposed site for the Pilbara Men's Shed as follows. Pilbara Community Men's Shed, new account, proposed budget 25,000, and the Dampier Master Plan and Windy Ridge Master Plan, proposed budget 45,000. So the net impact to the city will be 0 variance. So, Kate, you're going to
Thank you. This report presents the administration's recommendation for a proposed location for the Pilbara Community Men's Shed. Council support is sought to progress planning and land tenure discussions so that the project can move forward. The Pilbara Community Men's Shed became a registered incorporated association in June 2021. It is a not-for-profit organisation and operates with the goal of providing a safe space for men and women to work on projects, socialise and access mental health support. While the organisation has been active in Karratha for over 15 years, it currently does not have a permanent location or a dedicated facility. Efforts to secure a site have been ongoing, including previous council support in 2018 through a location in the Kevin Richard Memorial Oval Master Plan. However, that location was deemed unsuitable due to insufficient space for the Pilbara Community's men's shed's needs. In November 2024, Council approved a community grant to assist the Pilbara Community Men's Shed in preparing a business case. This document outlined the requirements for a suitable facility from the club's perspective, including sufficient space, approximately 2,400 square metres, for workshops, storage, social areas and potential future expansion. Accessibility for all members, safety and security considerations, appropriate zoning and access to services, and preference for a greenfield site to allow for flexible planning. The Community Infrastructure Plan also identifies a men's shed as a short-term priority, including the need to investigate site opportunities. So on the back of this from the CIP, the administration has conducted a site identification and assessment process using criteria informed by the business case and the city's requirements. Key considerations informing the site selection of appropriate sites included city ownership to land to avoid land acquisition and more speedy delivery, access to utilities and services, minimal impact on nearby residents, and a central location for community access. From this process, the city has identified 4 sites in Karratha for shortlisting, being Richardson Way Park, portion of the Bulgara Sporting Precinct, adjacent to the Kevin Richard Memorial Oval to the northeast, and the Karratha Golf Course. Each site was then assessed against criteria including ownership, accessibility, size, services, zoning, and environmental and social factors. So from this, the site assessment outcomes have been ranked as follows. Bulgara Sporting Precinct is the best overall from the administration's assessment, with good access to the north for road access, existing infrastructure, flat land and minimal disruption to nearby residents. Kevin Richards Memorial was suitable but would require new servicing and has large flood-prone areas. Richardson Way Park was third. It was a very visible site with good access but lacks services and is very close to residential housing. And the Karratha Golf Course is constrained by existing uses and potential conflicts with planned developments. Based on this assessment, the administration recommends a site portion of the Bulgara Sporting Precinct, which the city holds through a management order. If council supports this option, the administration will work through the following steps, including working with the Pilbara Community Men's Shed on a draft layout and concept design to define the land footprint for planning requirements, working with the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage to identify the required process to facilitate the land lease over the portion of land, and undertaking the required disposal process to enable a lease to enable the Pilbara Community Men's Shed and city to proceed. The above steps in terms of timing is dependent on the department's directions and timeframes, which are currently unknown. So in summary, the report recommends that council endorse a portion of the Bulgara Sporting Precinct as the preferred location for the Pilbara Community Men's Shed. It also recommends that council support the progression of the associated site surveys, planning, land tenure and disposal process and the reallocation of existing budget.
Thank you, Kate. Councillors, do we have any questions?
Is the $25,000 going to be enough to get it going and get?
Yeah, 3 months.
Yes, through the chair, is believed 25,000 should be sufficient to assist with the land survey. Or volume. Or volume, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson.
Just a couple of points. Okay, thanks. Really well done. We heard from the President this evening. It's been a long journey on this road, and a couple of things to pick up on the timeline. And I know you can't really put a hold on if we got to go to government, other agencies involved that are out of our control, and we've had to work through that process. But if you need to give us a rule of thumb for the guys here tonight to say, like, we're pretty excited, we want to get going, we've got some money. We're just trying to work through it, and I think the interesting part is I don't know how long a piece of string is. I do understand, but I reckon ballpark, if there is something you could do within 12 months, would it be a reasonable question to ask?
Through the chair, that's a planning question, so I'm actually going to defer to the Director of Development Services, but I understand it could be a minimum of 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Through the chair, as indicated by the councillor, how long is a piece of string? Unfortunately, Crown processes don't always.
Yeah, but would you, so just to do another question through the chair, 12 months would be a reasonable time frame?
I would hope that it will be completed within 12 months.
Thank you.
Can't make any guarantees.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there any way to speed up the process?
Through the chair, again, it's Crown land tenure negotiations. We rely on the state, so we don't control the process, unfortunately.
Okay, no other questions. We'll move forward to 10.4, which is Gilardi lease of the Old Shire offices. Okay, so lease of 46 Rose Street, Roburn, this is the Old Shire offices, to the Gilardi Aboriginal Corporation. And office recommendation that council approve a peppercorn lease consideration of $10 per annum plus GST and outgoings for Gilardi. If I say it right, I'll apologize if I don't. Corporation over a 5-year term with 5 years option 5 + 5 for the lease of 46 Rose Street in Roburn.
And just through the chair, Director, did you want to make a couple of comments rather than a presentation? We might just provide a very quick summary.
Yes. So I think Giuliani has already spoken to this item through their deputation. As is noted, they are seeking a peppercorn rent so they can continue to deliver their Yandy for Change program in Roburn. It was a requirement under the federal government funding that Yandy for Change receives that it transition to Aboriginal community controlled organisation. It was previously overseen by the Department of Communities, and the Department of Communities was provided a peppercorn lease. Officers recognise the significant cultural, social and wellbeing benefits Yandy for Change provides to families and children in Roburn, and in particular the strong support that it receives from elders in the community. Officers are therefore recommending that whilst it isn't in line with the policy, the community leasing of land policy, officers are recommending that a peppercorn lease of $10 per annum be provided to Giuliani Aboriginal Corporation with a 5 + 5 year term.
Councillors, any questions?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. Great to hear. I was part of the Yandy for Change when I was at RDA's for the federal government funding that. There's a couple of things too. That's a beautiful bit of building. It's been rained up. It's Aboriginal Road Board, which is pretty exciting. There's a lot of history there. And the hardest thing for us is to find use for these buildings, so it keeps them going, keeps them alive. It's nothing worse than having an old building. So that part of it really, really good. And great to see the outcome for a wider community, and touching on the actual support around. One of the key issues for us in Roburn is you're trying to, what we're doing through Yandy for Change, but for us in the city, the question I wanted to pitch it a bit, what more can we do in that community
try and help it grow what's called the fabric around that community. So the Yandy for Change is at a high level, what full direction, but I see down the bottom when we go in, the street side's coming along really good. We still need some more active, so I just sort of on the question around more community stuff that we can do in Rosebery to try and activate that area.
Yeah, so through the chair, that's a really big question. And I think we absolutely are passionate about helping Rosebery to build that fabric, and let's not forget there's actually some wonderful community groups already there. So we're not saying that there's nothing there, but I'll ask the director in a moment, but we are looking at as a city how we go from big picture strategies and now do more what we call place planning, which is about coming up with plans with the community on a town by town basis. So Point Sampson would have their own place plan. Wickham would have one. Rosebery would have one, and then the community are actually going, these are the things that are important for our town and for our environment, and then we can prioritise and, we want to be there supporting community groups. It doesn't have to always be the city getting in there and doing things, but what we can be doing is providing the support for those groups. So I don't know, Director, if you've got anything else that you would add to that, but I think the place planning approach which we're going into is a big part of it.
I don't have anything else to add other than that we're really keen for it to be community led as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. There's also additional work planned in Rosebery for the recreation precinct. So you've seen work being done in terms of the streetscape and creating that beautiful street. And now what we're going to do is look at how we can really revitalise that 50 cent ball area, preserve that, give it some love, and really make that a really beautiful space as well.
Thank you.
So if there are no other questions, Councillor Roos.
Sure, if I could, through the chair, anyone who's in the social services space knows the incredible work that Giuliani's been doing up Karratha Headland Way, particularly with their empowerment of strong leaders and also up and coming youth leaders. So for the benefit of the people who may be in the room tonight that may not be aware, Yandy for Change has been community-led and been in the community of Rosebery for quite some time, and it's been led by Department of Communities. So this is now changing hands over to a corporation who has proven the social impact that they have had in a very similar demographic just up the road, our closest neighbours. So my question would be probably to the director through the chair. Already in its operation in Rosebery, Yandy for Change, how has that organisation been as a conduit for us to be able to do its best work? And do you see that being able to perhaps even be improved with the support of Giuliani?
Yes, so the questions come to the CEO, but I'm happy for the director to take it on. That's right.
So through the chair, look, I think from the administration's perspective, Yandy for Change is an extremely important group and organisation that is leading change in that community. From a city's perspective, we've relied heavily on them to inform some of the work, and in particular some of the big picture strategic work that we've done, particularly around our council plan, that has actually led to a overarching goal that sees Aboriginal Cultural Authority as overarching to everything that we do. I think with the support of the city and depending on how Yandy would like the city to be involved, I definitely see there's been significant contribution from that group and with the support of the city in whatever form that may be. I think we've got a lot of opportunity. The community has a lot of opportunity there to see the improvements that they want to see in their community.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no.
Given the age of the building, do we have a scope of works and costings for required maintenance over the next 5 years?
Yeah, so through the chair, did you want to take that one on?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can take that one. So yes, there has been a contractor brought on board to undertake a conservation management assessment of some of the key buildings in Rodan, including the old Shire office building. We do know that the roof needs to be repaired, and we also know that there are some access issues moving into that community, which I understand has been identified to be rectified next financial year. And pending the report from the conservation specialist, we can program additional works to ensure that those buildings are fit for purpose.
And will the works impact the tenants?
There is a potential. There is the potential that the works will impact, but we'll work with the tenants on a suitable alternate location whilst works are undertaken.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, we'll move on to item 11, Development Service Report. And 11.1 is the Major Event Sponsorship and Attraction Program, the MISAP 2026. Oh, you have a presentation? I'll go through just the recommendations first. Sorry. The officer's recommendation that council approve the following applicants to receive funding under the MISAP policy. The Benjamin Native Title Aboriginal Corporation for the Karratha Experience for 3 years for $20,000. The Informa Australia Pty Ltd for the Pilbara Summit for 3 years for $42,966. The Storyteller Chef for the Birth Experience for 1 year for the grant amount of, is that to be approved?
That's 1 year of $50,000. Yeah.
Yep. And the Karratha Rodeo Incorporated, the Roburn Rodeo for 3 years, $50,000 to be that grant amount $50,000 for the 3 years. And the Kimberley Pilbara Cattlemen's Association for 1 year for $40,000. Just to reiterate, for the first two, that's a 3-year funding. And then for the rodeo, that's 3 years. But the Storyteller Chef at the Kimberley Cattlemen is for 1 year. And 2 is to approve by absolute majority a budget amendment for 25 to 26 for an additional $145,500 for the purpose of funding the recommended event sponsors under the MISAP policy to be funded by a transfer from the city's economic development reserves as follows. Economic development grants. For the current is 125,000, and the variance will end up being 145,500. Transfer from the Economic Development Reserve for 145,500, and the net impact to the city would be a 0 variance. And I have to apologise, my daughter is currently in Europe and has no idea the time, which is why she's ringing me right now. So I'm sorry. So we have a presentation. Thanks, Adrian.
We do. So, Major Events Sponsorship and Attraction Program, 5 events in 2026. Previously, we've presented these as individual events as they've come up. This time around, we've looked to package them for the full year so that you can make a informed decision across all of them. So the first event is the Karratha Experience, annual multi-day festival. It's held in April in the Karratha National Park. They're seeking $20,000 per year for 3 years. So previously, we sponsored them 10 and 15,000 in prior years. This one's a little bit unique because it's not held within our local government area. It does promote Karratha as the gateway to the Pilbara, so positioning us as a regional hub with travellers passing through on the way either to or from the festival. Forecast ROI is a bit lower on this one because it's not in the district, anywhere between $6 and $8 economic return or economic impact per dollar of sponsorship that we provide. The Pilbara Summit is an annual conference event held in June. It was initially in Perth for the first few years, being held at the Red Earth Arts Precinct since 2022. They are seeking $40,000 a year for the next 3 years and to hold that event at rate for those 3 years. This is an event that supports local businesses and regional development priorities. So it brings together politicians, large industry, local businesses, puts them in the same place and just works towards a bunch of Pilbara initiatives and priorities. Forecast return on investment for this one is higher because it is held here and the majority of delegates are visitors to the city. The economic impact of this one is anywhere between forecast to be anywhere between $18 and $26 per that dollar of sponsorship. The third event is the Burrup Experience. So held in conjunction with the Staircase to the Moon at Hearson's Cove, typically in July. So it's an event celebrating Indigenous food, Indigenous culture and storytelling. The applicant was seeking $60,000 for the event for 2026. We are recommending $50,000. The reason for the recommended lower amount is because the return on investment was a bit lower at $60,000. So to make it viable and for that return on investment to be increased, obviously the total economic impact of the event remains the same. If council sponsorship is lower, then that return per dollar invested is higher. So the event inaugurated in 2025 with a long table dinner. They are looking to expand the event in 2026 to include a community concert and also a children's bush tucker experience with Murujuga Rangers. So this event is there to strengthen Karratha's reputation as a cultural tourism hub. Takes place in the Murujuga National Park. The inaugural event happened the week after World Heritage listing was achieved, so coincided with that nicely. The fourth event we're recommending is the Roburn Rodeo. So again, a new event for 2025, was sponsored under the city's large community grants for 2025, looking to transition that into the major event sponsorship policy for 2026. So this is a cultural event that combines rodeo, a number of cultural performances, obviously market stalls, live music, Indigenous-led events. They are seeking $50,000 per year for 3 years. So we sponsored the $50,000 for the inaugural event, seeking the same amount for each of the next 3 years. This is a major event that promotes regional tourism. So there are over 3,500 attendees at the inaugural event this year, and over 900 of those attendees came from outside of the city. And that includes not only visitors, but also competitors and performers and suppliers as well. So the forecast return on investment on this one, again, very healthy because of that large number of visitors from outside the city. Forecast being between $21 and $31 per sponsorship dollar invested. And the last event we have on the list is the Kimberley Pilbara Cattlemen's Association Conference. So this is a biannual industry conference event, alternates between Kimberley and Pilbara, typically between Karratha and Broome. They are seeking $40,000 in sponsorship for 2026. So we've sponsored them $35,000 2 years ago in 2024, the last time the event was held in Karratha. So again, positions Karratha as a hub for major regional events, obviously a large regional conference. Once again, being a conference, the majority of attendees are from outside of the district, so over 200 attendees at this event, and over 90% of them are from outside, at least outside the township of Karratha, some obviously from stations nearby. Forecast return on investment there, anywhere between $9 and $16. The other thing that we can't measure, anecdotally, they like to enjoy their evenings, so there's also the additional local spend there on hospitality venues and food and beverage. So really strong return on investment from this event also. So as a summary, we're seeking $200,500 to be approved for the current year. As noted in the recommendation, $145,500 to come from the Economic Development Reserve, and the rest what was budgeted for the year for major events. We're also seeking, as we mentioned, a multi-year commitment for a number of these events. So on the screen there and also in the report is just detail of how much we are pre-committing for future years. And obviously that will form part of the budget process for those years when it comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Okay, councillors, do we have any questions?
Just got one for you, Adrian. The Cattlemen's Association biannual, so it means every 2 years. We had it here last.
Sorry, that's probably worded poorly. Biannual here happens every year. Yeah, so it alternates. Yeah. So apologies for the confusion.
This is like the biannual where we're hosting it twice in a row, and
it's poorly worded. Apologies.
Councillor Roots or Councillor Swapper, do you have a question?
I do, thank you, Councillor Furlong. Just in relation to the funding for Informa for the Pilbara Summit, I've noted in there that it was mentioned that ticket prices were quite high for the local small businesses, and it was a barrier for them attending, and noted that it's proposed that the 6 delegate tickets for the council get allocated to select local businesses in partnership with the KDCCI. this is a long question, sorry. And I promise it will turn into a question. But then I also read in the application that they're looking to offer early bird tickets at greater than 60% discount. So wouldn't it be, my question is, how would you identify those 6 tickets to be given away for free to small businesses, or would it be an opportunity to add up the total cost of those tickets and then reduce or increase the overall discounted tickets so that more small businesses have the opportunity to attend?
Chair, so through the chair, I'll ask the director to respond to that.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Swaffer. I haven't done the figures on converting the cost of the 6 delegate fees into a reduction overall, but what I would like to point out is that Informa are currently offering early bird tickets to local businesses which are a substantial discount of with ticket price of $900. That only is relevant until, it expires in January of next year. So there's not a very big lead-in time to enable businesses to get into that process. But the intent with allocation of tickets through KDCCI, I anticipate, would basically be through a lucky draw. You submit if you'd like to attend, names get drawn out of the hat, so that we're not picking a particular business and indicating any kind of bias. Businesses would be allowed or offered the opportunity to put their name forward, and then we'd work through an appropriate process to draw them out of a hat effectively.
And Director, would KDCCI basically run that process?
I think that's the intent, yes.
Yeah. So the city wouldn't even be involved in that, but we'll provide them with the tickets.
Yeah. Through the chair, I'd also like to point out that discussions with PDC have indicated that they are aware of the commentary that's been provided by local businesses previously in relation to ticket prices and content. They're intending to sponsor a number of Indigenous local businesses to exhibit at the conference in the coming year as well. So PDC are also considering how they engage local small businesses through this process too.
Through the chair, PDC is the Pilbara Development Commission, which is a state government agency that's involved in creating this event.
And I might be a question that you can answer, but are KDCCI doing a drive to say the early bird tickets are available now?
Through the chair, I can't speak to whether or not they are doing a drive, but we have directly notified them of the early bird ticket availability, and we've requested that they send it out to their mailing list.
Oh, Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Chair. It is very relevant to Councillor Swaffer's question, and it's sort of been covered up mainly. But if I could just try to clarify that through this ballot system that will be worked through with KDCCI, there will be a number of tickets for small businesses at like no cost at all. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, through the chair, we, as a sponsor, are provided with half a dozen tickets, and basically we're providing those tickets at no cost to KDCCI to then allocate to small businesses according to their process. So, yeah, so there's no, it doesn't cost the city anything. We get them gratis as part of our sponsorship.
Yeah. And that was just off the back of my concern if we're really considering deeply the impact on our community. I know there's lots of positive benefits, but just the negative benefits of our library being out of action. I know it's not our only library, but it is our main library, and the art centre is largely unavailable during these wonderful events that do bring positives. But are we sort of looking at that impact? It may have something that can be fixed with our community infrastructure plan and building some more.
Through the chair, for the community who are here, our 10-year community plan has provided lots of feedback from the community about what sorts of facilities, rec facilities, men's sheds, community centres that the community feels that we need to put into our planning. And definitely we're feeling that there's that Red Earth Arts Precinct is jam-packed with people wanting to use it. So there's definitely a need for us to have some more community hall, community spaces for those sorts of situations. Because as you say, these are really great events, but we're always trying to balance the needs of the local community and then bringing people to town and, generating, generating these returns to the local economy. So it's a difficult balancing act. So I would suggest to you that at the moment we're doing our best to find that balance. We try to reallocate those groups where we can, or give them plenty of notice that for those few days of the summit they're not going to be able to use the facility. And then in the longer term, I think it's for council to consider how we perhaps plan for the future for our facilities as well, because we're definitely feeling the pressure and trying to juggle local needs and day to day with the bigger picture things as well.
Thank you, CEO. Any other questions? No, thank you, Adrian.
Right. Thanks, Adrian.
So we're going to go back now to our original agenda. The audience members, if you would like to leave, we're more than happy to leave, or if you'd like to stay, we'd be happy for you to stay as well. To you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. No worries.
So we're back now to item 9, corporate and commercial reports, and 9.1 is statement of period ending 31st of October 2025, and the office's recommendation that council receive the financial statements for the financial period ending 31st of October 2025 as shown in attachment 1 to 4. Councillors, do we have any questions? No? Okay. Josh is here. Josh is here, I think, for the large grant for the Karratha.
Yeah.
And also the mill as well, development field space.
Rectangle fields.
Rectangle fields, which is a community infrastructure place. Master plan.
Community infrastructure plan.
So that's 10.6, and the rectangular fields is where?
That is 12.4.
12.4. So 10.6 and 12.4.
And that, are we, councillors, are we happy to jump around again a little bit?
Yeah.
So 10.6.
We can just take a look and see.
So councillors, large grants. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's actually 10.3.
Yes, it is.
10.3. And we've got a couple of conflicts of interest for that one. We've got Councillor Swaffer and Councillor Roots who need to leave the room, but I could suggest we first of all vote.
Yeah. So councillors, we're happy to, can we take a vote in a second to move 10.3? Yep. Councillor Roots and Councillor Simpson, thank you. So the 10.3 is the large community grant, round 1. So the office recommendation that council approve the following applicants to receive funding under the large community grant scheme. First is the Karratha Kangaroos Junior Rugby League. the Karratha Kangaroos Junior Rugby League Gala Day and Anzac match for 26,000, sorry, I can't read that properly. 20. Apologies. For 26,339,000. The Northern Swimming Association for the 2026 Belt of Country Pennants for 43,000. Swimming WA, the Tri Series 2026 for 39,900. The RSPCA WA Community Action Day for 12,616. The Bainton West Primary School PNC for the playground upgrade stage 3 inclusion and accessibility focus for 50,000, and the Karratha Basketball Association head of the game, coach the coaches, and mental well-being and resilience for developing players, coaches, and referees, 23,760. So altogether, subtotal is 195,615. The council declined the following applications to receive funding under the large community grant scheme: Karratha Community House, Buchanan Safety and Comfort Upgrade, and the Hindu Association of the Pilgrim Corporation, the Half Arts and Cultural Festival for 2026. Do we have any questions, councillors?
Yeah, just the Karratha Kangaroos Rugby League. They requested $30,814, but we're only approving 26,339. Are they happy to still to deliver the Gala Day and Anzac match with that reduced funding? Is that
Director?
Through the chair, so based on the assessment undertaken by the panel, it was understood that the elements that weren't funded wouldn't prohibit the event from proceeding.
But they were happy to.
I would need to seek clarification from the panel to see if they spoke with the organisation, but my understanding is that all groups that did not receive their full were asked whether their event could proceed without the full funding, and the response was yes.
Anybody else?
Why didn't they ask for more?
Through the chair, that's a question of the rugby.
Yeah, can I ask though?
So through the chair, I think we just take the application as it comes to us and respond to it. So I can't speak for the applicant.
Any other questions, councillors? I did have one. It's about the Bainton West Primary School, the PNC, for the upgrade of the playground. My question was, from the criteria, it was for is for everybody. Well, it's not. It's for the primary school. So I'm questioning the rationale when it's will be Department of Education. Even though, yes, I do understand that it's the PNC, I feel that for a large community grant might be better putting an inclusion playground in Bainton West. That would be for everyone as opposed to purely for school. So the question is it the appropriate use of the large community grant funding?
Through the chair, so the panel did assess it against the criteria and they did feel it was suitable for this reason. They have aligned it to the strategic goal of everyone is included, and that is around improving accessibility to facilities, places and spaces, events and infrastructure for all abilities. However, I can take it on notice and seek further clarification from the panel.
And as I said, for me, I feel it's not for everyone. That would be my concern. Thank you, Sharon. And the other question was, did the Karratha Community House, do they get their feedback about why they weren't successful? Yeah.
Through the chair, yes, I believe they have been informed as to why they haven't been successful, and the team have offered to work with them for future funding applications.
And just for the council's benefit and the community's benefit, typically if we haven't proceeded through, it will relate to the information we receive from the candidate and how from the applicant and how it has aligned to the criteria that the panel uses for assessment. But we will always work with the community groups to get that feedback and help them for next time.
So do you think that we might get the Hindu Association Cultural Festival up and running?
Well, once again, councillor, I think it's we rely on the applicant to put that forward.
Yeah.
We then go through an assessment process and make a decision on year by year. So we'll give them that feedback and that support, but it'll be up to them as to whether or not they want to put in an application in the year following.
And can I just get some clarification around that RSPCA's WA Community Action Day? Actually, action.
Through the chair, I've just lost my spot, so I need to take that one on notice and I will.
That's all right. I'll add a little bit more to it. The RSPCA has no office or anything connection with the Pilbara at all. In fact, out of Perth, they're well respected, but we do in Karratha have a great safe. We still do a great lot of work in our community. Reading through the WA Community Action Day, it's going to be something to do with animals, and hopefully, because part of my next question is going to be an opportunity we've seen as we're trying to find this dog park, and in our reports, we've seen so many dogs that are not registered. So I think if we get an opportunity where we're going to do an action day with animals, it'd be a great opportunity for us to be there with the glad to get more registrations in, so we get more status.
So is the question, can we use this event to register more dogs?
Absolutely. You're a good stay right there, but I'll leave it to you. Enough leeway there.
Yeah, so the description on the report is that it's a free inclusive event in Wickham for all of the community, provides information and advice, free resources such as food and treatment for pets, free health, microchipping for dogs with the aim of easing the pressure on pet owners that are struggling financially, and the funding will go towards pet food treatment, venue hire, advertising, and costs for people who are going to be running the event. So that certainly aligns with our animal management requirements. So there's definitely would be beneficial.
Through the chair, if I might just add, they will be working with SAFE and our rangers.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, now we're moving to.
We never. That's it.
So now we're moving back to corporate and commercial again, to the list of payments from October 1, 2025 to October 31st. And the office recommendation that council receive the payment, the list of payments totaling 22,158,687,14 as detailed in attachment 1, 2, and 3. I missed one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Andrew's the appropriate name. Jumping around.
No, that's okay.
Does anyone have any questions on the list of payments? Anybody? No? I had a couple. And first one was 10.2293. It's a payment to the city of Karratha for an SES payment, but it's to us or from us. I'm not quite sure what that was. So it's 10.293.
I'll take that one on notice.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other one was 11.868, and that was a reimbursement of a grant to the Department of Planning and Infrastructure, I think. It's 32,110.
I'll take that one on notice as well.
Yeah. And the last one was 12.12.7 to Rowan District High School. So a reimbursement for 32,110.
So I'll take all of those on notice, councillor. What we do with those questions is we'll write up the answers and put them into the pack for next week. So you'll have the information there. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. So now we're moving to.
I think it was the request was to bring forward 12.4, the community infrastructure plan and initial master plans development request to call tenders. Is that correct? Yeah, that's the rec fields. Yeah, that's the one we want. Okay, great.
There is a presentation.
There's a presentation on that one. Thank you.
0.4.
So we'll just need to have council move to bring 12.4 forward as well.
So, thank you, councillor Harris, thank you, councillor Roos, second that. So 12.4, sorry, excuse me, second.
That's right.
Community infrastructure plan, initial master plan development request to call tenders. And the officer's recommendation, the council agreed to call tenders for the design and preparation of 3 master plans located at Karratha Leisureplace, Bulgara Sports Precinct, and a new rectangular field precinct based on the deliverables outlined in this report. So endorsed the section criteria as follows: and price at 30%, relevant experience at 30%, methodology at 20%, capacity to deliver at 15%, and sustainability 5%. And 3, to approve by absolute majority a budget amendment to reallocate 675,000 in the 2025-26 budget to the delivery of the 3 master plans outlined in the table below. Bulgara Oval Master Plan for proposed budget for extend the existing budget of 75,000 to extend that to 250,000, to a variance of 175,000. The Karratha Leisureplace Master Plan, which is a new, so for 225,000 for that, and for the rectangular field master plan, which is also a new project for 220,000. So the total budget required, not 200,000. Yeah. The total budget required is 675,000. MJ is going to give us a.
It's a little bit more if you want to finish the budget amendment.
A little more? Oh, yes. Okay. So the Karratha Leisureplace car park formalization for 150,000. That is an existing budget. Dampier town site enhancement, and that is the existing budget, and that's not changed. And for the community sheds construction at KRMA, and that is for 590,000. And that's 375,000 of a variance. So that's the total budget return 675,000. And net impact of budget is 0.
Thank you, councillors. Yeah, for this report, we're looking to call for tenders to bring on architects to assist us with 3 of the priority projects out of the infrastructure plan. Later on, you're going to hear a little bit about the strategic implementation. This was supposed to follow. However, we are looking to return funds for projects that are either not going to progress this year or that we're going to roll up into the master planning process, resulting in a net impact to our overall budget for this financial year. We are looking to obviously use the master planning process. Benefits being is that we can ensure strategic alignment to our plan. We can do precinct-based approaches at all 3 sites, which will give us flexibility once we start the community engagement process, should the needs and demands of the community warrant that we place things in different locations. So the CIP has quite an extensive list of needs from community, and in order to make sure that we can best use the space available as well as the funds available, it'll allow us to place key parts of those scopes at the right location. Obviously, the reasons that we're progressing with this is that they are deemed at the moment the highest priorities out of the infrastructure plan, and we're going to sort of hopefully be able to stage the construction to then get value for money once we get to further down the track. The 3 master plans that we're looking to start with, so the Karratha Leisureplace. The key project here is the need for additional basketball and netball indoor courts. Other parts of the scope that we are going to include relate to solar battery storage. We are going to explore the possibility of integrating the gymnastics facility into a new space or using some of the existing should we rearrange the current layout within the Leisureplace. We are going to improve and add additional car parking, and we are going to look to convert the beach volleyball outside on the pool into a more usable space. This project is deemed to be priority number 1 for the need for more enclosed courts. And as such, we're looking at using the existing oval space, which then does mean that a key part of this project is the need for more rectangular fields, which was priority number 2 anyway, but we do need a home for the rectangular sports, before proceeding with that project. Project number 2, rectangular fields. As you can see, we have proposed a site which is next to the existing Karratha Oval, using the vacant land that this year was used as overflow caravan park storage. The key considerations for this site are going to be the drainage impact and making sure that we manage stormwater well. We are allowing for a club room / pavilion amenity to accommodate the increase in sport and layout of those potential users of the rectangular field space. We are going to include the lighting infrastructure required to play sport at night time. And we are looking obviously to accommodate the 2 biggest users in rugby and soccer of the rectangular fields. In the images there are a couple of proposed layouts. So we have done some initial concept planning to make sure that we can fit a minimum of 4 full-size fields in, as well as overflow space for junior sport. The overall intent of this site will be that we turf as much of the area as possible, knowing that during the day we can use more of that space, knowing how well those sports currently manage the small space of the leisureplace that they use. The third project is the Bulgara Oval Master Plan, which is currently an approved project for this financial year. The need out of the infrastructure plan identified that Bulgara is a large open space, but very underutilised and not very well planned out to make sure that we get maximum usage for our community. So the key aspects of this master plan are going to include upgrading cricket facilities, including a consideration for turf wickets, relocating tennis courts and infrastructure, increased grass active open space, so looking to expand the existing playing surfaces, potential for a large sports pavilion. The existing lighting infrastructure is nearing its end of life and needs an upgrade across all the existing fields. We are looking at the hockey facility realignment, and there is an investigation underway as to the type of field we may use, with the idea that it may end up at this site as well. We are looking at a small sports pavilion, looking at that on the opposite side at the old KEC Oval. We are looking at dedicating club storage and looking at ways to improve the existing hardcourt areas. As we know, this site is also currently home to the Feenapple Festival, and so this process will also give consideration to future infrastructure that might be needed to make that whole event a bit smoother to operate. Existing schedule, so assuming that this recommendation is approved next week, we will start the request for tender process with a goal to award in March, and commence the community engagement and design process. Depending on how that goes and the considerations with community, we are looking to have most of these complete towards the end of September, and then start to look at staging construction of the key projects identified. Appreciating that council's key directive is do things as fast as possible, we will certainly operate with that intent. That is all.
Thank you, MJ. Has anybody got any questions?
I've answered it at the end. Can it be any faster?
Like I knew.
Through the chair, one of the things that we're looking at is another piece, which I'll bring back to you at our next meeting, but we have discussed the fact that if you're prepared to approve the CEO to sign off on some procurement, then potentially we can speed up our processes. So I'm going to have a conversation with the team about that. What would be the parameters? What would be the checks and balances? But effectively, it would be about for these projects, you might want to delegate to the CEO to actually sign off on some of the tender outcomes, rather than bringing the tender back to council and going through a council meeting process. That's obviously got pros and cons. So that's something we'll have a conversation about that at administration, work out what we think would be a reasonable approach. And then I'll have a conversation with you in the new year to see if that's something you'd like to do.
Any other questions, councillors? Oh. Thank you, MJ.
Thanks, MJ.
I think we'll go back to corporate commercial reports. And we're back to item 9.3, investment period ending 31st of October, and officer's recommendation that council receive the investment report for financial period ending 31st of October 2025. Does anybody have any questions? 9.4 is Q1 key performance measures for 25-26, and the officer's recommendation that council receive the key performance measures report for the period ending 30th of September 2025 to amend the following existing measures. A, library services, which is 2.6.2. So the number of physical and digital loans combined items per quarter with a minimum tolerance of 6,000 items per quarter. And B, property management services, which is 7.7.1, to maximize full capacity of the quarter HQ for office, retail or commercial purposes. Item number 1 there is to amend the target from 100% to an achievable target of 92% and a minimum tolerance of 88%. And C, the cemetery management and services to remove performance measure 7.6.1 for the cemetery management service. Do you have any questions, councillors?
I could just make a comment. Sorry, Councillor, you go.
I just it's just trying to think of the question. To be honest with you, you're doing very well. Keep promising, ROI, but I'm just trying to find the question. So I'm on board here.
So perhaps if I could just mention to councillors that we had our new council plan that was approved in June. Now what we're doing is going through a process of setting up some KPIs to line up to the services. And so there is a bit of a maturing process that we're going through at the moment. You'll notice that in our report that, we will be bringing forward, when we are reviewing this report, we will be bringing forward suggestions for amending the targets, amending the KPIs as we're going through the process of understanding the KPIs and how they perform. The library services amendment is actually, the number was too low, so it wasn't reflecting a reasonable target. So we've adjusted it up to reflect what the service should be. The quarter occupancy, we've never had 100% occupancy, and we don't need 100% occupancy to run the site, but this reflects what we think is a more realistic target for you to measure the effectiveness of the business against. And then the cemetery management service was one relating to the budget, sort of the revenue that we collect relating to burials. And we all felt that it's not really appropriate to have a KPI against the number of people who have been buried, because that could be misconstrued. So that's not one that I would like to have a KPI against, because if I'm not meeting my KPIs, I don't want to try and find ways to bury more people. It's not a great way to run a city. So all jokes aside, we didn't feel that was a good KPI to have. So that's just a little bit of commentary as to why we've made those changes.
Thank you. You find a question? So 9.5 is the Rowan Community Resource Centre, and it's the rates write-off. An officer's recommendation that Council 1 write off the rates debt on 15 Shoal Street to the sum of 6,127,099 cents, and 17 to 19 Shoal Street for $22,803.77, and to approve an exemption for rates for 2025 on 15 Shoal Street for $1,858, and for 17 to 19 Shoal Street to $3,755.21. I think we have
and we have a presentation from the CFO. Christine.
So thank you, Council. The Rowan Community Resource Centre is it's actually two facilities based in Shoal Street, Rowan. The ownership is currently in the name of Rowan Telecentre Inc. They have had that ownership since the initial inception. Roburn Telecentre used to obtain government funding for the properties as it ran community programs. However, the funding was lost in 2009. The Roburn Community Resource Centre has decided they're going to wind up the Roburn Telecentre Inc. However, as they have these properties attached to it, they are unable to go through this process. Current situation is that the RCRC, the Roburn Community Resource Centre Board, intends to give the ownership to NBAC. Won't try and pronounce that. The current rate set to 2025-26 is $34,544.97. NBAC have advised us that they do not receive government funding or native title funding, and so for them it would be hardship to pay for the $34,000. They have written to us as the city and proposed a write-off / exemption so that they can operate their community programs that they currently run in those facilities. One is the Val and Kathy's Kitchen, the Yura Magadu Crew Work Ready programs, and the Bindiri Garba Youth Work Ready program. These programs are run out of there. The use of the property will align to the Council Plan Goal 1. We respect Aboriginal people's cultural authority and connection to country. So the officer's recommendation is to write off $28,931.76 for previous years to this current year, and then to provide the eligible exemption for 25-26 for 5/6/13/21. Going forward, NBAC have indicated that they will apply for an exemption on these rates. Questions?
So as we can see here on the report, the debt goes back to 22-23 year. Right. They lost their funding in 2009, but all their outstanding debt's only in the last three or 4 years. So were they able to pay prior to that? Is it?
I think they used to get a lot of rental income from it, from Reaper, and they have gone now, so they've lost a substantial their income.
Yeah.
So,
to me, this looks like they haven't made a payment though since 2022-23. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I can get this one into a question, but the rates, obviously, you can see the rates have been going up. Does it include interest in those figures, or is they?
Correct.
Yeah. But so that's why this year's one's so low, because there's no interest in that one yet. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
9.6 Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting for November 2025. And the officer's recommendation, the council received the minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 25th of November 2025. Do we have any questions, councillors?
Very good.
No questions, Councillor Simpson? 9.7 is a late report 2024-25 independent auditors report and annual financial report. And officer's recommendation that council accept independent auditors report 2025 from the Office of the Auditor General dated on the 28th of November 2025 and accept the city's OAG endorsed annual financial report for the year ending 30th of June 2025 and accepts the confidential final management report. Do we have any questions, answers?
Might as well chuck one in. Tony, this is in your vein here to try and write a question here. 4 minor, 1 moderate. Is that the best result we've had in an auditor's report so far?
With Chair, yes.
Thank you.
It's been a outstanding response, and our finance team were significantly praised by the independent audit chair and deputy chair for the result, because it was completely unqualified.
That was my question. What does unqualified mean in this report?
Yeah, well, that means they haven't found any problems. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So qualified means that they're saying we're going to tick off your finances, but we've got these concerns. So that's sort of what they're trying to say. If it's unqualified, it means they've got no concerns. Yeah.
Any other
That's a good question, because that's something that that's the lingo. Yeah.
And the Auditor General does one a year.
Yes, that's right.
And what does it cost us as a city to have that report done?
Good question. I'll have to take that on notice. Haven't got that on hand.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Questions? Jump around here a little bit. So we're now moving to community experience report, and we're going to item 10.2. So it's the Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Bike Park facilities final concept design. So if we could do the first recommendation and then I'll step out.
Yeah, so councillors, I suggest that you sort of move in second to separate out the recommendations so that you're dealing with Karratha as one group and then Wickham as another group. And so if council votes to accept that approach, then we can deal with it in two parts.
So do I have someone who would like to move that we, with Councillor Roos, is someone to second that?
Great.
Councillor Swapper. So first we're talking about the Karratha Bike Park. Do we have a presentation?
There is a presentation, thank you. Like the presentation?
No, I just did.
No, I don't think so. Thank you. Presenting an update on the development of the Karratha Bike Park and Wickham Pike facility. The report seeks council's endorsement of the final concept designs. In October 2024, council endorsed a notice of motion requesting the administration to work on assessing suitable sites for a bike park, develop early concept designs, prepare cost estimates and undertake community consultation. Following this, in December 2024, council approved an unbudgeted allocation of 100K to procure a specialist consultant. From here, the administration awarded a quotation to Common Ground Trails in March 2025. Since then, the consultant with the administration has completed site investigations, developed several draft concept options and undertaken 3 rounds of community engagement. Based on the site assessments and community input, Richardson Way Park was the preferred option for Karratha, and Mulga Way location option 1 was the preferred for Wickham. Council endorsed these preferred sites at the August 2025 Ordinary Council meeting and endorsed progressing to design and costing. Council also supported the development of a master plan for Richardson Way precinct to guide coordinated planning of future facilities on the site in a coordinated manner. So since August, the administration and the consultant have progressed to further design refinement and cost estimates for both these projects. The work included undertaking more detailed feature surveys, geotech investigations, and then updates to the layout, drainage design, landscape treatment, and infrastructure requirements of the concepts. Final concepts are now complete, and the design remained consistent with those initial options that were presented to council in August 2025, and they continue to reflect the priorities expressed by the community through the consultation. For the steps for Wickham, subject to council endorsement, the project is ready to be tendered to progress to detailed design and construction with a delivery plan for this financial year. The total estimated cost for design and construction is $820,000, which excludes escalation and contingency. And for Karratha, the progression of the bike park will occur as a priority following completion and endorsement of the Richardson Way master plan and a future funding decision. Just for background, this slide shows the location and the final concept for the Karratha Bike Park. The final
final concept, it includes an asphalt pump track for general riding, a jump park with multiple lines for different skills, a descending trail section from a 3-metre mound with different trail options. There's an internal parking network that's been added to improve access and visibility, supporting amenities such as shade, seating, bike racks, barbecues and drink fountains, and drainage designed to work with the natural landforms. And for Wickham, the final concept includes a medium-sized asphalt pump track suitable for a wide range of users, a reorientated layout so that the start platform aligns better with the existing skateboard, stronger connections to the base and the wider Wickham hub, improved accessibility and site connectivity, as well as supporting amenities and designs that separates user groups and allows for future expansions. This project also benefits from confirmed external funding support through the city's agreement with Rio Tinto. So the next steps for these projects, as mentioned, the Wickham Bike facility is now ready to move into detailed design and construction. Tender subject to council's endorsement of the final concept. Detailed design is estimated to be completed by mid-May 2025, with construction and practical completion completed by September 2026. For the Karratha Bike Park, progression to tender for construction will occur once the Richardson Way Master Plan is finalised and adopted, estimating September 2026. Construction of the bike park and the dog park will occur as a priority in the 26-27 financial year, forming the first stage of the master plan. So in summary, the concept development phase is complete for both projects, and officers seeking council's endorsement to endorse the final concepts, approve the tender for Wickham Bike Facility, and confirm that Karratha Bike Park will be prioritised in stage 1 of the Richardson Way Master Plan.
So the officer's recommendation that council endorse the final concept design for the Karratha Bike Park as presented from attachment 1, final concept design, Karratha Bike Park, and 4, agree the Karratha Bike Park be delivered as a priority in stage 1 delivery of the Richardson Way Master Plan following council endorsement of the master plan in 2026. Do we have any questions regarding the Karratha Bike Park?
So I think we've got a couple of councillors leaving while we're discussing the Wickham part of this discussion. And Councillor, over to you. You can.
I can just look. Yeah. All right. So we're looking at item number 2. We're going to endorse the final concept design for the Wickham Bike Facility as presented in attachment 3, final concept design report, Wickham Bike Facility, and agree to invite tenders for a detailed design and construction of the Wickham Bike Facility in accordance with the endorsed final concept as presented in attachment 3, final concept design report, Wickham Bike Facility. Do we have any questions on the Wickham Bike Park? All right. So without any more questions, we'll move on to the next item, and we'll call in our councillors out of the way.
Well shared.
Hello.
That was quick.
Yeah. Questions?
Water. Not get some water. Oh, you've got one. Okay. We're at 10.5, I think.
So 10.5 is the West Australian Police and Community Youth Services, the PCYC lease at lot 762 Shoal Street, Roebourne, at the Roebourne Community Hall, and the officer's recommendation that council approve a peppercorn lease consideration of $10 per annum plus GST and outgoings for the West Australian Police and Community Youth Centre for the lease of the Roebourne Community Hall, 2 Shoal Street, Roebourne, and uphold the proposed lease term of 1 year with 4 further 1-year options. That is 1 year plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. A total lease term of 5 years with inclusion of a redevelopment clause. Do we have any questions?
Just one, nothing through the chair. The Rowan Christian Hall is a high-funded Rowan. It's used for a number of events. We've used it. So with the Peppercorn piece, it still gives us opportunity if we had to do something with the community. We could access the hall and use it. We don't own it. We think is using it for their facilities to run that program that they run through the Rowan 7 days a week. But we could still use it as our other facility.
Asking CEO.
Yes, sorry. Apologies. Through the chair.
So yeah, through the chair, throw that back to the director. So as I understand the question, it's do they then have an exclusive use of that facility, and can it be used for other community purposes? Yeah.
So through the chair, yes, they do have exclusive use of the building once we provide a lease to them, but under the lease, they are required to provide access to the broader community as well. So the broader community continue to use it for other purposes outside of their standard programming.
The 5-year lease at 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. They've been in there for 10 or 15 years. Is there any reason why we're breaking it into? Is there a strategic reason to break it into ones?
Yeah, sorry. Please, no, go, Director.
Sorry, through the chair. So yes, there is a reason why we are breaking it down to 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Is because we have the Rowan Recreation Precinct Master Plan that is about to commence co-design with the community, and we need to provide flexibility to that leasing arrangement to allow us to redevelop 50 Cent Hall. We know it's a significant building for the community, but it also is reaching end of life and requires significant upgrade work to it. So this just gives us flexibility to enable us to include a redevelopment clause within their lease to allow us to undertake those works.
Another question. Do you think after redevelopment we'll be looking to release it to the PCYC, or would we be looking for a different venue for them, and this would be onward and upward for bigger and better uses? Is that the thinking at the moment?
So through the chair, we're actually expecting community to inform us through the co-design process as to how they want to utilise that space in future. As I mentioned, it is a very significant space for that community. If there is support for PCYC to continue to operate out of that space at the present time, so we are supporting the wishes of the community to continue the service, but knowing that we will have better understanding of future use of that building in the next 12 months or so. We will work with PCYC to either find a suitable location somewhere else in Rowan for them to operate, maybe our facility or our alternate facility owned by someone else.
I have a question. What the work that PCYC, it's amazing work. And again, with the Andy for Change, these are all amazing projects and grassroots bodies who are really doing fantastic work. But they're all government funded. Most of them are government funded at state, Police, federal funding. Why is it not putting in their budget funding for a rental allowance at the very beginning? You know, like the state government had a $2.5 billion surplus this year. We didn't have that, and we're just about to embark on our community infrastructure plan. So it's unpalatable because of the work these organisations are doing. But how can we bring it back so that, you know, rent and leases are part of their budgets? No.
Do you want to have the...
Yeah, through the chair, that's actually a difficult one, and particularly for these two, well, for PCYC and for Giuliardi. Giuliardi has taken over a lease from the Department of Communities who wasn't paying any rent. So the budget that they have been working towards is based on the budget that the Department of Communities was working towards and the funding that was attached to that budget. So that's Giuliani, and the same would also go for PCYC. They've applied for funding based on the known state at the time, which was they had a peppercorn lease with the city, so their funding is based around the known state at the time when they applied for that funding. We do know that our policy does, it is quite tricky for not-for-profit organisations who are providing services into our community. They're typically funded to provide a program or a service, but they do have broader organisational revenue that comes in to support them as an operation, because often they are statewide or region-wide operations. So the reason why PCYC have been assessed in the way that they have is because their revenue is assessed at the state level, and it exceeds $1 million.
So there won't be any capacity for us to go back and have that conversation with them to look at when they're applying. I don't know, to have some medical form, because there is like people like Val's Kitchen that we don't give any funding to at all, which I feel, you know,
so through the chair, we do see this as a partnership or a funding of the city by providing peppercorn rents, and that will be acknowledged as part of the, I guess, contribution through a peppercorn lease.
Yes, that's very true. This is a financial contribution by virtue of a fee waiver.
10.6 is Community Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2035 Strategic Implementation Plan, and the officer's recommendation that Council endorse the City of Karratha's Community Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2035 Strategic Implementation Plan. Notes that A, the Community Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2035 Strategic Implementation Plan provides an indicative pathway for delivery and will be subject to ongoing review and refinement, with progress updated annually as projects progress and further information becomes available, and the long-term financial plan will be updated to include $275 million to deliver the community infrastructure plan, proposed to be funded through partnerships, grant funding, city reserves, and potential borrowings. Okay, we have a presentation.
Thank you. So the report presents the strategic implementation plan for the Community Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2035. The implementation plan is an important piece of work for Council's consideration because it is the next step for delivering the CIP. It translates the high-level project priorities identified in the Community Infrastructure Plan into a clear, actionable roadmap for delivery. For context, the Community Infrastructure Plan was endorsed by Council in August 2025. The CIP was the first level of planning for our community infrastructure. It looked at the community needs at a high level and identified key priority projects, but only in very broad terms. So more detailed planning was needed to understand what each project would involve, when it would be planned and delivered, and what the budget implications might be. To address this, the administration has been developing the strategic implementation plan. The plan steps out more detailed summaries of each project based on a high-level needs assessment, and it also identifies interdependencies with other projects or prerequisite activities that might impact delivery. It also indicates indicative timeframes for when the projects will be planned and potentially delivered, and also cost estimates, which will feed into the long-term financial plan to help identify funding requirements. It's important to highlight that the document is a high-level implementation plan that is iterative and will be continued to be refined as work is developed.
If you can make mention to it was in the public, I think it's been taken offline from that.
Welcome back to the general public who are out there in wherever land you are. We had a bit of an IT issue, but we're back online again. Thank you to the hard work of the administration. So thank you. We go again.
Regular scheduled programming.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess a quick recap is currently presenting on the CBD public toilet feasibility outcomes and giving an overview of the proposed locations and the preferred one. Preferred location in the attachment being option 3, which is in close proximity to existing varied services and utilities that are going to be needed. It aligns with the broader vision of the site. So currently this location is earmarked for a hotel, and we have considered that as part of the planning for this project, hence why we've chosen the location that we have. We're able to use the existing infrastructure, which includes obviously the interconnecting footpath, as well as the parking that's close by, which also includes disability parking. We are minimising the impact on the streetscape, so we are able to tie this into the existing planning that's there and keep it off direct sort of lines of sight of the street. And it's also a safer distance from the main traffic and roads that obviously cover that area. The next step, so we have already completed our engagement with Development WA, and they're supportive of what we're doing in consideration of all the other potential options at this site. Once we've received endorsement of our preferred location, we will then begin to engage a design professional to design the site for us. We will take options on look and feel to community and get their feedback on the final outcome there. We'll then bring it back to council, hopefully in March, for endorsement prior to going to construction tender. Looking at starting maybe in July 2026.
Thank you. Has anyone got any questions? Oh, Councillor Roots.
Just wanted to commend the team on the work that they've done for this to be in-house. Through the chair, if for our projects and infrastructure teams foresee that this is something that we could implement in the future to keep things in-house when we're looking at needs analysis.
Yeah, so look, through the chair, we're always going to look for the most efficient and most cost-effective approach. We are scaling up our project delivery teams because we've got a lot that's in the pipeline. But sometimes we will juggle what we can do in-house, what we can do out, and we're always looking at speed and then cost and also capability. So there will be, for different projects, you'll have different people who will be really well qualified to do that piece of work, or we might feel that we need someone with special skills. So yeah, we'll always try and find the best way to do it for you.
Any other questions?
Just one through Chair. So last month we voted to good options at the hotel site. So obviously we're trying to fish out and see if any real tunes there. At the same time, we're going to try and put forward it's enough room there for it. They can work together without getting.
Yeah, correct.
That's right. Let the manager. Yeah, the manager looks like he's ready to answer that.
Yeah, correct. If I just jump back a couple, that original layout there, you can actually see the mark out of a previous proposal we've had, which did preference that the hotel be on the streetscape as close as possible. And as I think it was agreed last month, we are looking to try and incorporate the green space into any hotel development, which then means that we can use this option. However, should that process play out differently, there is options to pause this if we need to.
Yeah. And through the chair, if I can just mention, this has been something that has been a really high level of request from community. So you can see that it takes a bit of work to actually get to a point where you can put in a public amenity like this. We're keeping this moving forward so that you've got all of the options available to you, and we can optimise our outcomes regardless of whether a hotel goes ahead or it doesn't go ahead. You've got different pieces of the puzzle that are being worked on simultaneously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
At 12.5 is supply of reticulation pipe and association fittings.
We've got 12.3, sorry, councillor, and we've got a presentation for waste management. That's right.
12.3 is waste management and resource. That's all right, Steve.
Yeah, that's right.
Recovery strategy 2025 to 2035. Approval to endorse. The council adopts the waste management and resource recovery strategy 2025 to 2035.
So following on from last week's presentation by Alison Mask Waste Management, I've got a very brief summary of the strategy and where we are at the moment. So the city developed a 10-year waste management strategy with key aims of guiding the city on effective and sustainable waste management, providing clear directions for improving services and infrastructure, and fostering a culture of responsibility among residents of waste. The strategy sets 8 key goals around behaviour change programs through education, waste infrastructure and operations, upgrading sites, managing legacy stockpiles, and exploring resource recovery options. Waste services through improving and standardising recycling services and infrastructure, supporting Indigenous communities, that's working with Aboriginal organisations to ensure waste services are accessible and culturally appropriate. Data, information and economics, basically auditing household bins, reviewing whole of life costs for facilities, and ensuring sustainability for sustainable resourcing for the implementation of the strategy. Literally illegal dumping, having a look at illegal dumping plans, surveillance, making sure that we targeting those areas that are prone to illegal dumping. Policy and procurement, which is around adopting and updating waste local laws and integrating waste management into the city's planning and climate action strategies. And regional collaboration, which is basically collaborating with other councils and industries on shared projects and resources and facilities to improve waste management outcomes. The strategy was advertised for 3 weeks in October this year by the city's What We Make It platform, email notifications and in-person submissions. 2 submissions were received. The comments reflected existing strategy themes. The submissions are detailed in the report and the responses to those submissions, which is the comments reflected a desire for improved recycling opportunities, the need for clearer education and information and support for reducing waste to landfill. No material changes resulted from the feedback. It was provided. The feedback provided was consistent with the strategy's objectives and actions. Where to from here? So basically, should the council resolve to adopt the strategy, we'll work on the implementation plan for the short-term priorities, incorporating those into annual budgets and working from there. Obviously there'll be annual reporting on the progress as well back to council. So that's where we are. Any questions?
Questions, councillor Steve?
Okay, thank you, councillors.
Great. Thank you.
12.5. 12.5 supply of reticulation pipe and associated fittings tender outcome. And the council's recommendation that council accept the tender submitted by Reese Australia as the most advantageous tender to form a contract based on the assessment of compliance criteria, quality criteria and pricing structure offered under RFT 000030, supply of reticulation pipe and associated fittings, and authorize the CEO to execute a contract with Reese subject to any variations of a minor nature. Do you have any questions? Oh, Councillor Harris.
2 tenderers obviously put in for this. Are we happy with only 2 tenderers? Is there anyone else out in the market there we thought should have been in this tender, or is that are they just the companies out around here that are supplying this sort of stuff?
Sure. That's the information in answering that, but you're very welcome to.
Take notes.
Yeah, can we take that one on notice, councillor? Yeah, thank you.
Any other? Ask more questions?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, Reese are a local business. Is that Newground Water Services? Are they locally based?
Through the chair, they're Perth-based, but operate all over Western Australia.
That's it, yeah. 12.6, Bayview Road culvert replacement, request to call tenders. And the officer's recommendation that council agree to invite tenders for the Bayview Road culvert replacement project in accordance with the scope of works outlined in this report. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, looking to call a tender to replace one of the culverts on Bayview Road that through an inspection program was found to be at end of life. It's a 2-barrel box culvert. In there are some photos from the inspection where you can see severe cracking, concrete spalling, exposed Rio, and all in all a very poor looking culvert. It was identified that it is over 40 years old and nearing end of life within the next 2 years. So we've brought this project into the program this year to undertake a urgent renewal. The exact location is outside Peggs Creek Oval. So it's in just, yeah, there you go. Along Bayview there. There's a couple of construction constraints that are a concern for us to manage. The road on Bayview is actually quite narrow and there's not a lot of room to go and install bypass around that. So we are going to need to shut the road down for up to a 6-week period currently. That is an overestimate to be safe. During the tender process, our intent is to negotiate with the bidders and run a value management exercise around expedited construction versus final cost. Hence why on the next slide, we're going to talk budget. We are going to need to put in place detours around Dampier Road, but we will start talking to the community early and well ahead of time before we start the construction. And we will look to schedule it in as the least convenient window as possible. Here is the design that we've had complete. Obviously going back in as a 2-barrel box culvert, we will increase the safety protections by WB guardrails. We do need to relocate some services and obviously reconstruct the road once the culvert's gone in. We do have currently just under $1 million allocated this financial year for the project. We are looking at an estimate of 1.8, depending on the traffic management requirements, as well as that exercise around value management for construction period. So our tender document will talk to that, and we'll be looking for ideas and options with the contractors within the community who can help us achieve this as least painfully as possible.
Anybody have any questions?
Obviously blocking off the road for a 6-week period causes concerns for me. I remember when the reseal was going ahead and we blocked off the top road for half a day and it caused absolute chaos. So I do have concerns about detouring. I'm glad we've fixed the roundabout on Broadhurst because we'll be funneling them all down there because that's the only way to get to the top road from Bayview if you're in that area of town. But yeah, it's going to take a bit of consultation with the community and a good plan because 6 weeks is a long time. So I just hope we can get it planned.
Yes, we will have a plan. Very, very good concern and all key points that we're well aware of. 6 week is a massive overestimate. We do want to make sure that we work with a bidder on options to fast track that. And that could potentially be night works, longer days, paying for more crew on site at once to get work completed quicker, precasting as much as we can. There's lots of options, but we just need to keep things open while we do the tender process.
Any other questions?
Sorry. It's okay. just a question with regards to the community consultation component. I know in there that you're only looking to consult 2 weeks out for businesses, general public emergency services. Given that you are thinking it's going to be a long closure, and I know you've just said that you'll try and reduce that from the 6 weeks, is this not something that we would look to potentially inform a little bit earlier?
Yeah, let's take that one on notice, Councillor Swaffer. I think it's a good question that you're asking about whether 2 weeks prior could be extended a little bit longer to give people plenty of notice and to adjust their requirements. So can I take that one on notice?
Sure. And I suppose with that too would be just looking at the bookings through our own internal systems for the vans that use Cattrall Park and making sure they're well aware of the closure as well when they're booking our locations there.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. So we'll take on notice. Are we looking at the surrounding facilities and building that into our change management and communications? As you can tell, councillors, this is a piece of work that we're anticipating is going to require some careful management. That's the reason we're, clearly asking you to request that to approve the tender, but it's also the reason this is here is to start to flag to yourselves and the community that there is going to be a piece of work that could be disruptive as well.
Thank you. 12.7 is panel for the supply and delivery of play space equipment, and offers recommendation that council agree to invite applications to join a panel for supply and delivery of play space equipment for a period of 3 years in accordance with the scope of works outlined in this report. 2, to agree that the panel for supply and delivery of play space equipment is to include the appointment of between 2 and 5 contractors. A maximum value of the one-off project or annual expenditure is capped at 1 million, excluding GST for each panel supplier. And 3, to endorse the selection criteria as follows: price at 40%, product quality at 30%, and capacity to deliver at 30%. Do you have any questions?
Is there a reason why there's no local waging, like local business?
Yeah, through the chair, that is automatically included in the price component of the tender.
Any other questions? Oh, Councillor Swaffer?
Yes, please. On that, I know that it's to a maximum of $50,000. Is that right for the local contractor and the price?
Yes, I think that's correct.
Yeah. When we are
that's set in legislation, that limit, yeah.
Is there a way in which we can look to include our own matrix, I suppose, for added points to help local contractors potentially, because $50,000 isn't much when you're looking at the huge level of some of these contracts.
Yeah. So, Councillor Swaffer, so the question that if I can replay the question, that it's, can we look at other criteria that perhaps helps local suppliers to be seen as more beneficial? Is that sort of the, so,
that would
and off
be
the
great.
top of my head, I'm thinking, I don't know, you could say that you've got a good understanding of local conditions or something like that. So, that might be the kind of criteria. So can I just, I'm just wondering, Manager, whether or not you've got any advice on that from a procurement policy perspective?
We can take it on notice, but the 50,000, if you look at a financial incentive, 50,000 is really what you can play with in that space. You can have other criteria. It is currently built in our policies as well, some of this criteria, so we have limited flexibility, but that's something we can certainly look at moving forward.
Does that answer your question, councillor?
It does, thank you.
We'll move on to 12.8, turf renovation services request to call tender, and the officer's recommendation the council agree to invite tenders for the turf renovation services for a period of 2 years with 1 by 1 year extension options, exercisable at the sole discretion of the city and in accordance with the scope of works as outlined in this report. Do you have any questions, councillors? We're moving on to 13, which is the Chief Executive Officer's reports and the items for information only. Point 1. Do I need to go like 1? That's your recommendation. Right. So the officer's recommendation that council notes the following information items. 13.1 by point 1, community experience update for October 2025. 13.1.2, concession fees by city facilities. 13.1.3, development services update. And 13.1.4, record of tender outcomes under delegations. Do we have any questions, councillors?
And we've got a 13.2 as well.
So 13.2 is Lake Report Annual Report 2024-25, and officer's recommendation that council adopt the annual report 2024-25, subject to further formatting, styling, and minor edits, as determined by the CEO, and hold the annual electors meeting in line with the statutory requirements.
So yeah, through the chair, that annual report document is still being worked on. That's why this has been flagged as a late report. So the attachment is still to come.
No questions? 14, which is motions of which previous notice has been given, which we have none. 15, questions by members of which due notice has been given, which we have none. 16 is urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision, which we have none. 17 is matters behind closed doors, and all we have there are the attachments. So we don't need to go through those. 18 is closure. Date of the next meeting. So is that it? And that's the end of the meeting. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Apologies. When it cut out, I've missed a couple of other reports, and one of them, namely, that I wanted to talk about was the Karratha City Centre precinct structure plan regarding the evaluation component. I'm not sure if it was discussed or not.
No, we didn't receive any questions, Councillor Swapper. If you want to ask a question about it, it's item 11.2.
So
yeah.
the
I was just wondering if you wanted to go behind closed doors because it's regarding the confidential evaluation report.
Yep. So if we're going to go behind closed doors, can I ask someone to, what do you want to say it? Councillor Roots, thank you. And Councillor Simpson.
Yep. So if we turned off live streaming.
52. Right.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you. Huge meeting. Thank you to all the staff who did an enormous amount of work to get a big agenda forward for December. And as you know, there's sweets. If you want